Hello, and welcome to this brief introduction to installing your own R packages on CHPC's HPC resources. This is something that's requested a lot on the CHPC help desk. Users will often ask for installations of packages, and oftentimes they're just small things that can be handled very easily by the users themselves, and it's kind of a frustration for them when they don't have right access to the module itself and can't really have their own environment. So this is a solution to that. It's a way to create your own environment on which you can have write access, and you can modify the module, install packages, remove packages, do whatever you need to do, and then also compartmentalize and have different versions of the same module or different versions of R even with your own environment that works with your projects. This video is primarily about the high-level installation process, which is what you should use if you have just a package name and some repository you want to install it from. For instance, if you're using the Comprehensive R Archive Network, or CRAN or CRAN, however you want to pronounce it, this is probably the way to do it. If you have just source code, or if you have Fortran or C programs or something that have different dependencies or that aren't in a conventional location, or that can't be found during the high-level installation process, you probably need to use a low-level installation, but that can be kind of complicated. It needs certain flags to be set during the installation process, and it's some different commands. The reason I'm not going to cover that in much detail is because it varies widely from program to program, package to package. So if you have to do a low-level installation, you probably have better luck just searching the internet for flags to install package name, and that will probably bring up some really helpful results. You can sort of follow the documentation on CHPC's website, which gives an example, but again, it's going to be different depending on which package you're installing. This video itself should be helpful for installing high-level packages just through the R command line interface itself, and it's mainly aimed at beginners. It's not going to be very helpful if you've already installed some of these packages. It will cover setting up your own version of the module in your home directory where you have write access, and then installing some packages and making it so you can load this module whenever you need. The first step in an installation of your own package is to create your own version of the module you want to base it on. You want to install the package on, and that's typically done by copying over the system version of the module into your own environment, and then creating your own version of the module and using it in the module system. So here I'm running which R to see which version of R I'm using now, and I actually want to use a different version. For this video I'm using 3.2.3.0MP, and so I'm going to use module load, and you'll see that my version of R has changed. Now I want to create a new directory for that R module that I'm creating, so I'm going to make it in your module location /R, and your module location is just some arbitrary directory. You can name it whatever you want, and the -p ensures that it creates any requisite directories. I'm going to copy the Lua file from the 3.2.3.0MP module itself into that directory I just created, and there's a sort of path template on the CHPC documentation if you need that. And then I'm going to move it to a new file, because right now I have two modules named 3.2.3.0MP. So I'm going to move it to 3.2.3.0MP $user.lua, and that $user will automatically resolve into my university ID. So right now I have a version called 3.2.3.OMP.U07706990.lua. And you can now use module use your module location, and it will allow you to use any of the files in that directory as modules. So to set up the packages, I'm going to create a directory and an arbitrary directory, different directory, and then you want to create /package /rlib / whatever version you're using I. Now you want to modify the Lua file for your module to include these packages whenever you use the module. And there's a little section here for set up a few R environment variables. You want to use set env r libs user, and then the directory of your packages that you just created. And again, there's a template on the CHPC website. If you don't want to copy what I'm typing in here, it's the directory that I just created in different directory. Ensure you've used your own university ID to make sure you're using your own packages which are in the path of the directory you created. So now we're ready to use this. We can module load R, and then if I do tab completion, you can see that this has successfully loaded. I can actually tab complete to get my own version with my university ID in it. And when I run that, it'll replace the version of R I am currently using. And it seems to have worked well enough. So I'm going to echo the variable rlibs user, which is now that directory I created in different directory. And so that seems to be working properly. We'll install packages in that different directory on the line above my cursor here, and then it should be able to use them. So I'm going to run R, and just make sure that the package isn't already installed or you're doing work that you don't really need to. So when I run that, it says there's no package called the package name. Whereas if the package does exist, like in this case for the random forest package, which is installed in the system version of R, you see either a message or nothing if it worked. So random forest worked. The one that I wanted before that did not, so we have to set some variables. You don't have to set some variables, but for the installation, I find it goes a lot more smoothly if you set variables in R instead of trying to type all this out in the installation command. So I'll specify the package name, the location to install it to, which is that different directory /package/rlibs directory that we created earlier. And then you also want to specify the repository location, which in most cases is going to be the comprehensive R archive network here, which is the largest one. It's at r-project.org, which is the official website. And just to verify, I'll go here and search for the package I want to install. And sure enough, it's there. So I think this will work well enough. And the website for that is cran.us.r-project.org, and that will change depending on which repository you're using. But if you're using cran, you may as well just use that one. So now I'll install it with the install.packages command, package name, the library location, the repository, and then verbose equals true is just good for debugging and seeing if you made any mistakes in the installation process. And it says the downloaded source packages are in this location, and when I run the library command, now it works. So where before it resulted in an error, now it doesn't have anything, so we can assume it worked. If you need to do a low-level installation, this is a bit more involved, and you can go to the R page of CHPC's documentation under installing additional R packages. And there should be a section for low-level installation. And you can see the command there is quite long, which is why I'm not going to cover this, especially because this is only for one example, and it'll change based on which package you're trying to install. But you mostly just need to set a few flags and run the commands as shown. It just depends on which package you're installing again. Now, when we created the module, we used the module use command to make it visible, and you don't always want to have to do this. So you can modify your .custom.sh or .custom.csh depending on your shell, whether it's bash or C shell, and add this command so that it runs automatically. So I'm going to modify .custom.sh since I'm using bash, and just add the module use and then your module location, whatever you named that directory. And now whenever I use bash, that should be true. It should have used the module location. So if I purge all my modules and then do module spider R, you can see that that is one of my options. My custom version of R is an option, and I can load it just the same without any problems. Now if I run R and use the library commands again, there are no errors, so it keeps the packages I've installed. If you have any questions, you can email us at issues@chpc.utah.edu or stop by our offices. Thanks.